The fifth question. You have mentioned that you were a Republican for many years. What is the stance of the New Mexico Republican Party on abortion? How does it differ from Mark Ronchetti's stance, and what is your stance? Usted ha mencionado que usted fue republicana por muchos años. ¿Dónde está la creencia o en qué está parado el otro candidato republicano del Partido Republicano en aborto, que es y cómo cambia sobre Mark Ronchetti, y qué es la opinión suya sobre el aborto?
I'll answer this question of the woman of, I guess, faith, a praying mom, a mother that birthed every child that she ever had. Right now, pro-life is important to New Mexico. We are the murdering capital of the United States, and it's horrible. We do not talk about what's really the issues are when it talks about politics. They like to make sure they glaze over it and they make it sound good for votes. Mark Ronchetti was saying that he was pro-life all this time. When he got the nomination, he moved into 15-week abortions, and he was okay with that. This is what the Republicans do. They will sell us something, but they don't follow through with it. When the elections happened in Whit Sour, they had the money, but they did not do election integrity. They did not do the audits, and they would not pay for it. The Republicans are weak in New Mexico. We have lost our party. I am the greatest Republican that ever surfaced from the Navajo Nation. I am more conservative than most of them. The problem is I wouldn't stand with the good old boys. I wouldn't kiss the ring. I wouldn't be controlled because I was here for you. I am the people's candidate. I moved from the Republican Party because they had plays in the way to make sure that I didn't continue on with my candidacy. If I stayed Republican, I would not be standing here today. I'd be at home. This is what they wanted. They want to control their candidates. Mark Ronchetti is not a strong Republican. He's literally a Democrat when you look at him. He is for climate change, the Green New Deal. He works for 350newmexico.org. He is carrying all the Democratic policies that are injuring New Mexico's economy. He wants to replace oil and gas, but he'll only tell you this in secrecy, but he'll dance for you when you give him the microphone. So the marker that you need to see is pro-life. He is 15 weeks, abortion, okay. But at 13 weeks, 93.4% of all babies are murdered by 13 weeks. So 15 weeks gives you an extra 2 weeks again. If you do the math, that leaves 6% of children he's gonna save. 6% is not pro-life. 6%. 15 weeks is 4 months. Think about it. The government is the one that issues birth certificates. But if the Lord issued birth certificates, you would add 9 months to your birth certificate because you were alive in your mother's belly at conception. So you're older than what your birth certificate says, 9 months older. So at 4 months, he wants to kill these babies. That is the difference between me and him, is I do not want the party to control me, and I will stand up for what is right, and I will say what is right in accordance with the love I have for the people and the right thing to do depending on our morals and values as Christian people. And that's my answer.
Ella nos hace ver la diferencia de los otros candidatos sobre el aborto. Sabemos que la gobernadora, pues ella dice que hasta los 8 meses y medio pueden abortar. El Mark Ronchetti, él primero decía que era pro vida y no creía en el aborto, pero ahora él ya cambió su tiempo para dar un tiempo más a 4 meses. Pero nosotros sabemos que desde el momento, la palabra de Dios dice que desde antes de que fuéramos formados en el vientre de nuestra madre, ya Dios tenía su ojo sobre nosotros, ya éramos humanos. Entonces, La candidata está a favor de la vida, es pro-life, ella está para defender la vida de los bebés, no es republicana ya y no siguió en el partido porque no quiso dejar que la siguieran controlando y que le dijeran cómo debía comportarse y cómo debería de tratar la gente ni cómo manejar esta situación. Si ella es gobernadora, ella va a pelear por los derechos de la vida de los bebés, no de 1, ni 1%, ni 4%, sino el 100% de los bebés que nazcan en Nuevo México y en todo Estados Unidos estarán protegidos por el derecho de tener vida aquí en la tierra. And that was the last question that was written down that had been submitted. But now it's open for anybody that's here that might have a question. Esa era la última pregunta de las que había mandado adelantadamente, pero ahorita tiene oportunidad. Si usted tiene una pregunta, hágala ahorita. Y como lo dicen por ahí, o calle para siempre. Entonces, si tiene una pregunta, ahorita es el momento.
I'm sorry, I probably got here a little bit late. But let's say, how are we going to bring in, you probably answered this question, but how are you going to bring new jobs to New Mexico, for the future generation?
Okay. New jobs to New Mexico. When we talked about entrepreneurship, so 11 to 14% is what I'm shooting for. So we want you to be self-sufficient and stand up, and we're going to make it very easy for you with incentives and also taking down the red tape and making business ownership so easy that you can chase your American dream if you choose to. Other people, we need to also ignite the economy. I'm looking at the resources of New Mexico. Oil and gas is huge here. So is natural gas, is actually surpassing regular oil. And then we have the coal industry that has been completely wiped out up north, but we're going to reignite and look at that because we have the scrubbers that can actually do the carbon catch systems, which the left want us to do, and it's there. But we also need to look at all of our minerals and extractions in the ground. So we are going to ignite our economy by doing that. And when you start to ignite huge booms, you see, I think it was, what year was this one? So when oil and gas boomed, they had a whole bunch of people moving to these communities to start working, and you needed hotels to be built. All of a sudden you see everything, construction start happening, infrastructure. And when you start igniting the oil and gas of a state, then we should have the best roads as possible. So you're going to start seeing that happen. We also have a water plan that we have to put into action because right now our water is very precious and we do not have a lot of it. And we don't even have systems in place to catch the rain that's happening right now. We're being flooded and dams are broken, and right up north we had a huge flood happen yesterday, and I need to go up to see the damage that's happened to my part of New Mexico. But we are not ready. Our infrastructure is old, it's crumbling, and we have a plan to ignite the economy to get our infrastructure back online. And what it's going to happen, it's going to ignite everything, and you'll start seeing inflation start dropping when we become self-sufficient, including agriculture and beef, and also our production to feed ourselves, because everything that the state touches should be produced. So every school, hospital, for example, we should be serving beef and agriculture in our schools too. Our children should be eating New Mexico food, and we need to do that. When we do that, you'll start seeing the demand for jobs. Now, how do you get people off the couch is the next question, because they don't want to move. It's so nice, right, to get a free check? So our food stamp program is out of control, and they've done this by design. You can buy, and I always say this, lobster, filet mignon, Starbucks, Monsters. These are things that our taxpayers can pay. If you are on food stamps, you eat better than most of New Mexicans that work very hard. So what we need to do is we need to squeeze those programs. The ones that can work need to get off the couch, and we have to reignite our workforce. Right now, our workforce is sitting on the couch underneath Michelle Lujan Grisham. She put them all there. Now they're all lazy and they're enjoying everything free, but us taxpayers that held on to our jobs, we're paying for it. And now inflation is happening, and guess what? Our paychecks are not enough. It's not enough to put the food on the table like we used to. It's different. We can't even buy steaks. Now we're back to hamburger, but have you seen the hamburger packages? They're at $45 a roll now. We can't even afford to make meatloaf, and that used to be the poor man's meal. So we're seeing it happen right now, but underneath my governorship, we're going to stop that. We're going to reignite it, and I think we're going to put people back to work, and New Mexico is going to be very prosperous, and we have a plan for that.
En cortas palabras, ella tiene un plan para volver a extender trabajos, abrir trabajos, nuevas cosas, usar los recursos que tenemos naturales, el gas, el aceite, volver a usar esos recursos para abrir negocios. Una vez que volvamos a usar nuestros recursos, vamos a poder proveer trabajos. Ahora, el otro problema que ella ve es lograr motivar a la gente para que se levante del sofá, porque por los cheques que la gobernadora Grisham mandó, pues nos hizo flojos a más de 4 y ahí estábamos bien a gusto, sentados nomás mirando las novelas y mirando la tele y ya no queremos trabajar. Entonces necesitamos nosotros también como ciudadanos motivarnos y decir, este es mi estado, esta es mi tierra, yo me voy a levantar y me voy a unir con la candidata Bedonie y voy a trabajar para que los recursos sean usados y que mis hijos y mis nietos tengan un futuro mejor que el que nosotros tenemos ahorita, porque no tenemos con qué pagar muchas de las cosas. Ella misma nos dio el ejemplo, ya rara vez podemos asar carne, ya no podemos hacer steaks afuera, usamos la carne molida, pero ya no podemos ni hacer meatloaf. Ahora tenemos que hacer caldillo con papas o con ejotes para que nos rinda la comida. Ella quiere que eso cambie. Una vez que levante la economía, vamos a poder tener la manera de tener mejores trabajos, más trabajos para todos, para que todos podamos vivir una vida mejor aquí en nuestro estado. ¿Another question?
Yo quiero saber a ver qué va a poder hacer Karen. Tengo un hijo que es el correction officer y a veces trabaja 16 horas diarias porque no vienen los demás trabajadores y los que tienen los vuelven a seguir usando. Trabaja toda la noche y todo el día hasta las 2 de la tarde, a veces hasta 4 veces por semana. Quería saber a ver qué es lo que ella puede hacer para eso.
His son is a correctional officer, and he has to do like double and triple shifts because the people that are supposed to come in to replace him don't come in, and he wants to know if there's anything that you would be able to do to change that situation.
Oh, yes. This is the same package for the people sitting on the couches. They don't want to work. They get their first paycheck and then they cut out. A lot of them don't want to work. And we're seeing this all across New Mexico. We are short-staffed. Because even when you go into departments that are state-run departments, they have weird hours now. You have to travel, and they're closed on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays, and then they're open on weird days. And you're seeing this because they're short-staffed. We're going to have to get this under control. We have to make sure we fill those positions and we keep those positions. We also have to make sure that they have a better package because I understand that a lot of them are overworked and triple worked. And that's what I think you're saying. And they need help, and we see it all across because even unemployment offices we've been to, they're horrendous. They have no idea. They lose your paperwork all day long. The DMV, you have to make appointments 2 weeks ahead of time to get there. Even medical services, you are 6 months out for appointments because they are understaffed. We have to get this under control, and how we do that is we have to squeeze our social programs, and I'm sorry, but we do. It's too comfortable. It's too amazing to be on this program. On mine, for example, I want the people on food stamps. If you need it, yes, I will feed you. But the people that don't need it and that are lazy, that sit there and just feed off of our system, I'm going to give them drug tests. Second thing, I also want to make sure that they don't just get sliced bread on my program. I want them to feed their babies correctly. We're going to give them a cookbook and all the ingredients to make the bread. Then they're going to understand what it really means, what our grandparents used to do to feed the family. You watch the ones that miss Monster and Starbucks and all these things that we shouldn't be paying for through tax dollars. They're going to go back to work because they remember they like these things. That's how we're going to stop this mess, and we're going to put people back to work. The social programs are too soft and they're too luxurious. We have to stop that, and it's also draining our resources for when we talk about taxation. What we have up there, we already ripped through it because we're sitting here trying to feed the people who aren't helping us. So that's how we're going to have to do that. It's going to be a little bit tough, but it's about being a good parent, and we're going to have to parent the situation.
Vuelve a hacer lo que te estaba comentando ella antes, de levantar a la gente del sofá para que quiera trabajar, de motivar a la gente para que quiera trabajar. Y la manera que se puede hacer es que todos los programas sociales que tenemos han proveído para que esta gente se imponga a estar viviendo la vida fácil. Si hay veces que hay emergencias y sí se necesitan las estampillas y sí se necesita la ayuda médica, pero claro, ella está dispuesta a ayudar al que de veras necesita. Pero aquellos que no necesitan, que solamente están viviendo así la vida a todo lo que da, bien fácil, nomás porque no quiere trabajar, pues a esos va a ir reduciendo como quiera todos los programas, porque pueden comprar cosas que nosotros no podemos comprar. Yo creo que yo no he comido ostiones y pescado frito y todas esas buenas cosas ya hace mucho. ¿Por qué? Porque no alcanzan los cheques para poder comer esas cosas. Y eso es lo que ella quiere, que vamos a reducir esos programas para que esa gente se recuerde. Ellos compran todo esto, llenan sus carritos con cosas como los sodas y cosas de energía y todas las cosas de lujo que realmente en otros hogares no hay. Entonces, quitando eso, los va a hacer reflexionar y los va a hacer motivarse, acordarse, como lo decimos, de lo que antes teníamos y cómo vivíamos antes. Es decir, ok, si quiero tener Monsters y si quiero tomar Red Bulls y si quiero asar carne y si quiero hacer, pues voy a tener que trabajar y motivarlos de esa manera para que ellos se muevan. Entonces, de esa manera nosotros vamos a poder ver que esta gente va a poder a regresar a trabajar, y de esa manera se va a solucionar lo que está viviendo el hijo de Ángel y muchos de nosotros que estamos viviendo eso. Ella mencionó quitar todo ese papeleo que tenemos que hacer para tener un negocio y poder levantarnos. Yo abrí una guardería y realmente era un papeleo tremendo para poder tener mi negocio pequeño. Pero salimos adelante por 30 años, yo tuve mi propia guardería, entonces yo sé que sí se puede, así que no nos vamos a dar. Gente de Nuevo México, vamos a levantarnos y vamos a motivarnos y vamos a motivar al vecino y a nuestros hijos y a nuestros parientes para hacer un estado próspero y mejor. ¿Hay alguna otra pregunta?
One last question. What about gun control? I'm now talking about those military style weapons, not the handguns, like the AR-15s, M4s, those military style weapons that we've been seeing a lot in the news, happening a lot of those tragedies.
La pregunta que él está haciendo es acerca del control de las armas y con las leyes que hay, las reglas y las diferentes cosas que están haciendo.
Yeah, they can't hear you. You're on live. Go ahead and ask a question.
I just want to, you probably answered this question, but I just want to know about gun control, about those military style weapons, those AR-15s, those fully automatic weapons. Do citizens really need those? And how are we going to control them from getting into the wrong hands?
So, your question is about how to control military-style weapons. Underneath the Second Amendment of the Constitution, it says the right to bear arms, but it doesn't list what kind of arms. Now, in your community, I don't know what you've seen or what's happening here, but what we're seeing across America is they want to take away these guns from people, good citizens. But I will tell you this, the criminals will never give up their guns. If you disarm a society, we're sitting ducks and the game is over. Now, this is the marker when I tell you from Indian country, when they conquered my people, when it was over, and we knew it was over, is when they took our weapons. Back then it was arrows, but they thought it was assault weapons too. As a constitutionalist and as a Native American, I will tell you the government will never guarantee your safety nor your prosperity. Your guns are going to be there to protect you from the government, not other criminals. That's what it was intent was done. But things are happening to us here on the ground within our communities. We have to have guns. I will implore you to learn about them if you do not know much about them. I own an AR-10 myself. I carry a weapon. It's a .308 Winchester because I have been assaulted almost. My daughters, I have 5 beautiful girls, and they all know how to use these guns. And it's not dangerous to people who understand this. When you understand the full intent of being an American, a free American, the Second Amendment becomes the most greatest thing that you can hold on to. Now with the left and the news sources and what they do, and they put fear into the people about these guns, and they give you all these little pronouns to attach to it. Military style, assault weapons, you know, and they scare the people. When honestly, a 22 can do as much damage as a 9mm if you know what you're doing. So no, I think that to restrict it is something else. But to stop crime, if that is your question, then if you have guns in your home and the criminals know that we are a castle doctrinated society, they will not come knocking because they know there are guns in that home. And that's what we're seeing is the safest homes are the ones that have Americans that are already trained. And we are the greatest military civilization, I guess, across the world. And that's what they're afraid of. They're trying to disarm us. Once that happens, we can no longer stop communism. We can never stop socialism. The game is over. You will no longer be free. So the Second Amendment, I implore you to look at it. Read it. It's so simple. And if it's something that you're not sure because you have young children around, when they understand what it is, my children do and my babies do, they know that the Second Amendment is the greatest weapon against communism, and we have to make sure we protect that. So we have to kind of, there was a point in my life when I was afraid of guns too. I didn't want it. I had babies in the house. It scared me. But after there was a man standing in our house, and later on another guy was crawling through my daughter's window, that's when I knew I had to do something. You have to stand up as an American and be a strong American. And you have to not let them brainwash you to think that it's wrong, because that is the one thing that keeps America great. We have the greatest military. It's because of guns and ammo. And I implore you to look at it. But for me, as an American, as a free woman, I will stand there proudly with my .308. Her name is Irene, and she's one beautiful piece of work, and I love her. But I implore you to know that the criminals will never give up their guns, and neither should you. And if a criminal is going to enter your life, then they should know what you are capable of. I also believe in constitutional carry. You should be able to carry your weapon with you across state lines. I believe in this. It's because I know the history. I've studied it. I know what it is. And I will not cripple the society today out of fear. Because in 50 years, you don't know what's coming down the pipe for our children and their grandchildren. It could be lasers, it could be crazy drones flying around. We don't know. But you should be able to spray the sky if you have to, bunk down. And I think that, you know what, when they say that cycles happen, and I think there might be something coming down the pipe soon, we have to be ready. So I implore you to clean your guns, stock your ammo, read the Constitution, and be free. But be good Americans, be respectful, love one another. And that's how you create a society that is safe. A gun-free zone is where all the shootings are happening, because they know no one in there has a gun. That's why they do it. Now, if it's not a gun-free zone, they will never shoot in there because they know that probably those people are carrying. So that's my answer for you, and it's because I'm a free American, and I'm a woman, and I know what it is to fight for something that you love so much and so dearly. Thank you. Is that it? Yeah, okay. Well, I have something, and I read it, and I don't speak Spanish. My Espanol is pretty weak. But see, the Nebazad, I'm from Navajo, and that's what we talk, is our Navajo nation. So, she'e ya Karen Bedonie, and she tohan and the shlen hashkan the zohe bashichi, zohe dini da shichay, ashihet da shinale. And that's where I'm from, and those are my people. When we came here, they drew the lines around our family. We were already here. So people were coming from all over the place. Immigration was happening. My people survived it. But we're here to heal the land and to also accept you as my brothers and sisters underneath this flag. So, and I learned a family from here, straight from here, Anthony, New Mexico, and they were able to have me understand, and when we got together and broke bread and we understood one another, they have the same, I guess, fears or stress, or they're worried about their children, their education, everything that I'm talking about. They understood what I was saying, and it took English to bridge that gap. But when I came here, they helped me convey what I wanted to say. So I'm going to try to, say this. I haven't practiced in a while. So, el más humilde de nosotros necesita ayuda cuando no la pide. El más pequeño de nosotros necesita una voz. Los aventados también necesitan que la luz resplandezca en ellos. A pesar de nosotros, sangre somos familia. La familia Nueva México. Yo soy su hermana ahora. Yo estoy aquí. Yo los veo. Sientan mis palabras. Oigan mis espíritu y camina en fe. Yo soy su hermana. Yo los veo. Que mis palabras sean mi oración en el nombre de Jesucristo. Amén.
Lo último que ella dijo sobre las armas, pues lo hemos escuchado en las noticias de cómo se nos quiere quitar el derecho, pero ella nos hace saber que nos hacen falta para defender a nuestras familias y defendernos nosotros. Nos advierte también que algo grande va a pasar, que nos armemos, que preparemos nuestras armas, tengan suficiente munición en su casa, estén preparados para defender sus hogares, porque ese es el derecho que tenemos. A los criminales nunca les vamos a quitar los rifles y las armas, porque ellos nunca los van a entregar. Entonces, en vez de pelear y tratar de quitárselos a ellos, vamos armándonos nosotros y preparándonos para lo que viene. Ella se despide, agradece de su raza donde ella viene, nos hace saber que es hermana en Cristo también. Ella también es salva, lavada con la sangre de Cristo, sus pecados han sido perdonados y está a nuestro favor, en nuestra hermana en Cristo también. And we want to thank everyone for attending. The church, los pastores Antonio y Vicky Solís, la iglesia, la congregación que están aquí, the volunteers, the people of New Mexico, and all the people that took the time to come. Agradecemos a todos los que están aquí, los pastores Antonio y Vicky Solís, los miembros de la iglesia, la gente que está trabajando, los voluntarios que están trabajando. Cada persona hace la diferencia. Un granito de arena, poquito a poco, podemos lograr la victoria. Así que adelante. Tomorrow, the next event is in Deming, New Mexico, August 18 at 5 p.m. Mañana estarán en Deming a las 5 de la tarde, así que si usted va a andar en Deming por allá o quiere seguir informándose más, pues sígalos para Deming mañana a las 5 de la tarde.